Yeah, hi team. So we'll just wait for 2-3 minutes so that others can join. Then we'll start the session. Okay, hi team. So I think we can start. I think we have most of us available. Let me share my screen. Yeah. So yesterday we have seen that okay, how we can create the query parameters, template parameter, and then we have seen that mix of that also, right? That okay, how we can go and do the mix and match of the uh, query parameter and template parameter in the integration, right? So today, right, what we'll do, right? We'll see that what is that multiple operations we can go and do. So for example, right, if I will go and do this one, right, run. So from this integration, right, we can do only one activity, right? Only one run we can go and do. But suppose from the same integration, right, if we can do multiple, right? So what will happen, right? The URL, right, up to here, it is going to be same. only the relative endpoint will go and change, right? So if we have to do this kind of behavior, right, how we can go and do, right? So we'll go and see that one. So what we do, right, we'll go and create a new integration. We'll write multiple operations. And we'll go and put into our package and create. So what we will do, right, in this one, right? So we'll go and create trigger, and then, right, what we'll try to achieve, right? So these two things, right? One is login, and the one was the register, right? So this both the things we'll try to do, right? We'll try to achieve the register and this one through this only. So we'll see how we can go and do. So first we need to create our trigger connection. So this is our trigger connection. So we can go and use. And then, right, what we do, right, we can give this name, common name we can go and give. And if you said this was a property which I was talking about, right? So I told, right, that okay, we will go and see this in the later, right? So today we'll see this one, that okay, what is the purpose of this one and what all things we can go and achieve with that one, right? So first we'll do here login one. So I will say login and I will go and select this one, right? So what will happen with this selection, right? So we can say continue. And if you see, right, I am able to give the name, right? If you see previously when we are not selecting all these things, right, what was happening? This was coming as a default, right? And rest all things will come as it is, right? But if you see now what will happen, right? Once we could select this one, right? What will happen, right? We can go and provide our name, right? Why? Because like multiple things we are going to configure here, right? So after creation also, right, we can go and configure this one, but we'll see that one, right? So now we'll see that, okay, we are telling that, okay, keep editing. So for example, right, go back. I will not select this one, right? We'll go and click into continue. So what is happening, right? It is coming default. So for example, right here we say login. That okay, login we are trying to do, right? So we can say login. So if you see, right, as of now, right, I'm not changing anything. Even I'm not selecting this one else, right? So normally we write how we are going, right? So that way only I'm defining, right? Then we say that okay, this is going to be our post method, and in the login, right, what we need to have, right? We need to have the request payload. So for example, we'll copy the same thing. We can say we need the request payload and response payload. We can go and click into continue, and this we can write slash login. Right. Then we can come here and we can pass the request payload. Continue. We can say continue. Then we need the response payload also. So what is the response payload we have, right? So this is what we have, the response payload. Continue. So we are able to do, right? Now if you see, right, after this one step, right, what is happening, right? I am directly coming, right? Once we do continue, right, after response, right? What is happening, right? We are coming back to the summary page, right? So what is happening, right? Only one it is creating, right? One service it got created, right? But what will happen, right, if we need to go and create multiple services here, right? Like multiple things I need to go and create, right? So for example, right, I will do the finish. So what is happening into this finish, right? If you see, right, we are able to create one flow, right? So till now, right, we know, right, in all the cases, right, one flow is created, right? But can we make this trigger thing as a different, right? Because we know, right, I cannot go and add one more trigger here, right? But suppose on top of this only, right, if we can do, right, then it will work, right? So let us see. So I will just click into this one again, and this time, right, what I will do, I will go and select this option, and I will say next, continue. So if you see, right, to here, right, it is going to be same. But what will happen now, right? After this response, right, we are getting the summary page, right? Now, if you see, we will get a different page. Add operations page will get, right? And in this also, right, if you see one operation is there, one, right? So for example, if I will click into continue, right, it will come to the summary page. But if I will click into this one, right, add another operation, right? And if I will click into continue now, right, what will happen, right? It came here, new page, right? So this time, right, what I can do, right, here I will write register. We can write slash register. So this is also going to be the post method. We need the request payload, response payload. And for register, right, what we need to do, right? This is a payload which we need. So we can come here, continue. So this is a request payload for the register. We can say continue. Then we can come to the response and we can put this is going to be the output for this one. So we can say continue. So if you see, right, what is happening, right? Two operations came. If I will click into continue, right, it will come to the summary page. And if you see two operation summaries, it will show. So the first one is the login one. So I can go and see what is in the login, right? Slash login post method JSON, right? Same thing if I will scroll down, right? For register also, right, we'll get the same thing, right? So this is how we can do the multiple operations. If suppose we need to add one more, right? We can click into this one and then what will happen, right? We can continue. So we can go and add one more, right? So how many we can do, right? Up to 11, right? We can go and do because the maximum count what we can do, right, is the 11. Now we say finish. So major endpoint changes, we can say apply. So if you see, right, what is happened now, right? Our whole flow got changed, right? So what got changed into this one, right? If you see, right, first only one trigger was there and it was going to as a flow, right? But now what is happening, right? It is going into this way, right? What is happening, right? It means pick method came, right? And what will happen, right? That pick method will take care of that each thing. That okay, which we need to define, right? That okay, we are defining this method or we are defining this method, right? So what will happen right now? This is completely one flow and this is going to be completely one flow. So what we do, right? We can go and make the save changes. So now if you see, right, as I told, right, the name of this one, right? For this one, it will come as a default. For this one, right, it will come as a register, right? So for this one, right, we have defined. For this one, we have not defined, right? Suppose in the beginning only itself we have could given, right? So that time, right, we can go and define our name. But so after creation of this one, if you make the checkbox, right, then what will happen, right? The first will be created as the default only, and the rest we can go and do. Now, if you see, right, we are getting two errors, right? So why, what we are those two errors? So business identifier is missing, right? So now, if you see, right, in the trigger, right, we have two connections, right? If you see in the trigger, right, we have two starting methods, right? So what will happen, right? We need to define two different business identifiers, primary keys, because this is going to be one separate flow. This is going to be one separate flow, right? So this is the starting point. This is the ending point, right? For this one, this is the starting point and this is the ending point, right? So it means it is a completely different flow itself, right? It's not like what we are able to achieve in the single. So when it is a different flow, right, we need to add the two different business identifiers, right? Because we don't know, right, what this activity, like in this case only, right, this will do the login, right? So for login, right, it is going to be different, right? For register, right, it is going to be different, right? So that is the two different things what we have, right? So what we can go and achieve with the help of that one is this one. Now if you see, right, in the previous scenario, right, when business identifier error we are getting, right, so directly from here we could have clicked and it will go into that page, right? And we can go and achieve, right? But here if you see, right, we are not able to do, right? And even here also, right, the business identifier is not coming, right? Suppose if I will go back, right, and I will come into this one. So we know, right, business identifier was coming here itself, right? So we can go and add directly, right? But in this scenario, right, the one which we just created, right, multiple operations. So in that one, right, it is not coming, right? So how we can go and add the business identifier, right? So business identifiers, right, we need to add here at each level. So we need to come here in this, and the business identifier will come here, right? So we what we do, right, we can go and do this one. So we can say business identifier, and for this one, right, what is the business identifier? So we can say email is the business identifier. We can go and do the save. Now if you see, right, there is no error coming for this one. What error is coming for this one? So this is only we are getting that error, right? We can come here, we can add the business identifier for this also, and we can say email. Now we can go and save, right? So what will happen, right? Now our both the flows are working, right? There is no error in any of these, right? So this is how we can go and make this one, right? Now what will happen, right? In this one, right, it is going to be separate logic. You can go and write independent logic. In this one, right, you can go and write a independent logic, right? Now suppose if we need to add one more, right? What we do, right? We can come here, we can click into edit. So this we already have selected, right? So we can go to up to the last step, and what we do, right, we can go and select there one more option. So we can say add another operation, right? And what we do, right, we can go and click into this one. So what will happen, right? One more operation will come. So for example, right, we can say single user, right? So this is get user. And what type of method it is, right? It is a get method, right? So we'll say get method. So if you see that these two we are defined as a post, right? This we are defining a get method, right? And in this one, right, what we'll do, right? We'll go and define. So this is a template parameter, right? So we will define a query parameter because we already know, right? The mix and match, right? It is possible. So we'll go and add here user ID. That is going to be a string and continue. Now response, we will go and define. And continue. So if you see, right, three operations got created, we can say continue. Now the summary of each operation will come, right? Now we can say finish. So now if you go and see, right, what is happening, right? One more operation started coming, right? And for this one, right, business identifier is missing. So we can go and add the business identifier. Now if you notice one thing, right, whatever we define for this one, right, so that only that information it is coming. The other information, right, will not get, right? So we can go and click into this one and save. So we know, right, that email and define, right? So those things are not coming, right? So this is how we can go and create the flow, right? Now what will happen, right? In this one, right, we need to put the logic to for the login, right? So what we do, right, we can come here. So this is the output. This is going to be that our output, right? So before to this one, right, what we do, right, we can go and put our invoke connection. And this one, right, we can say register or login third party. What is the endpoint? It is going to be one. So it is going to be /API/login. So slash API slash login. And what is method, right? It is a post method. We need the request and response payload. We can say continue. Then request payload we can go and pass. Continue. We can say response payload. Continue and finish. So what is happening, right? So whatever the logic we added, right? So that logic came into only one flow, right? So in this flow only it will come, right? Now what we do, right? We can just click into save and we can do the mapping here. So if you see, right, this mapping, right? So this mapping between what, right? This mapping is going to be between this and our trigger, right? Because now the trigger is not showing here, right? But this is inside the trigger, right? So whatever we define into the trigger, right? So that we can go and map here. So we can come here. So if you see, right, in the default, so whatever the username, email and password, right, we have, that will come. So we can go and map that one to email and password to the password field and validate. So let it complete, validate it. Now we can go back, save. Now we can do the mapping for the output. So output, right, it will be available where, right? It will be available into the response, right? So we can come to the response. So token will be available. We can go into the validate. So it is got validated. Now we can come back and we can go and do the save. So now if you see, right, our integration is in the configured state. If you want, right, we can go and test it out now, right? So let us go and test it out now first. We know, right, we have not done any logic here, right? So, but we'll see, right, what will happen in what scenarios and all, right? So we can come here. We can say activate. Now we can go and do the refresh. So it is done. Now what we do, right, we can go and click into run. So if you see, right, what is happening, what is the difference which is coming, right? When we are running previously, right, we are not getting this option, right? Operations option. But now if you see, right, we are getting this operations option. And what is happening into that one, this one, right? If you see, right, the complete URL is going to be same. Only this is changing, right? If you see register, get single user, right? So what is happening, right? So one application only, right? We have make that, okay, it is behaving like multiple applications, right? Because suppose for multiple activities, right, we need separate endpoints, right? For example, right? So what we do, right? One way is like we need to create a separate REST APIs, right? So that is the one way we can go and do, right? We can right? Other way is like this one. If it is kind of a logical things, right? And we need to put into one only, right? So if customers say that, okay, only the endpoint should change, not that complete URL and all, right? Because if we create a new integration, right, what will happen, right? The URL is going to be changed, right? Why? Because the integration name will come into this, all right? The identifier will come. What will happen, right? The whole name itself will go and change. But if they will say that, okay, we just need to modify the endpoint itself, right? So in that one, right, what will happen, right? We can just go and modify the endpoint only, right? So that is how we can go and do. Now, for example, right, we'll go to the default one. So in the default one, right, we have the post API, right? So here we need to provide the JSON payload, right? So what is the JSON payload we have, right? So this is the payload what we will have. So we can come here and we can go and click into run. So if you see, right, we are getting that output, we are getting that token, right? Now what we do, right, we'll go and do the for the second one, for the register. For register also, right, we need that out to same kind of thing, right? So if I will go and run for this one, right, what will happen, right? It won't be anything, right? So it got completed, but nothing is happening. Why? Because there is no logic, right? So if I will go and show you the diagram, right? So when we are doing this one, right, register one, or let me go and run this third one also. So this single user, right? So in this one, right, we need to pass the username, right? So suppose we will pass the username, right? So for this also, right, we have not written any logic, right? So it will not return anything. So what happened, right? We have executed the same flow for 3 times, right? And all 3 operations, right? So if I will go to the track instances, right? If you see the difference, right? In this one, right? If you see, right? Our business identifier was an email. In this one also, business identifier was an email. But in this one, right? It was a user ID. So if you see, right? It will try to, now it is same integration, right? It is defining or behaving like we have the multiple integrations, right? Or we have the multiple things, right? So what we can do, right? We can go and click into this one, right? So for example, right, if you wanted to see the diagram, right, what will happen, right? So we can go and click into this one. So if you see, right, in this one, right, we call the first one. So if you see, right, the flow is going into the first loop only, right? Because this operation we are calling, right? So if you see, right, it is going into this only, right? Now suppose if I will come back, right, and we'll go and see the second one, right? So in this one, if you see, right, it is not going into the first one. Where it is going? It is going into the second one only, right? And if I will come back to the third one, right? So what will happen, right? If I will click into this one, so it will go into the third flow only, right? So when we need to have this kind of thing, right? That okay, in one integration only, right? We want to decide, right? Or we wanted to put multiple logics, right? So this is how we can go and put. So what will happen, right? These are kind of a parallel, right? So only one is going to be happen. We cannot call multiple here, right? And this pick activity, right, will come automatically when we use the multiple operations. So now what we'll do, it we'll come back here, integrations. Now I will try one thing. So like 2-3 months back, right, when we are creating from the existing, right, it was a kind of a bug. So what we'll do, right, from this one, right, we will make a clone and we'll see, right, can we do that multiple operations. So we have done the clone. We will come back. Now suppose if you see, right, this is the one, right? Like suppose in the previous scenario, what we did, right? We initially only define and then we did the mapping, right? In this one, right, what is happening? We have the existing flow and all, right? Can we do the multiple operation into this one, right? Because it is not necessary that, okay, when we start, right, on that day only we'll get that requirement, right? Suppose we got one requirement, we have completed, and now customer is asking that, okay, can we do on top of this only, right? Or can we expose the multiple endpoints in the same integration, right? So how what we can do, right? So it means like one is created, right? Now we have to see whether we can go and do the multiple things here or not. So let us come here. So if you see option we have available, so we can go and click into this edit. We can say continue. Then what we do, right? So for this one, right, we have to go as it is only because this is the first operation. So this we don't want to modify, right? We wanted to add another. We can say add another and we say continue. Then this is our second operation, right? So for example, right here on also what I will do, right? I will do that login only, right? So we can say login. In endpoint we can say slash login. It is going to be the post method. We can say request payload, response payload, continue. So we can go and define the request payload here. This is our request payload. We can say continue. We can define our response payload here. Continue. So we have defined two, right? Now we'll see continue. So two operation summaries are also working, right? Now let us go and do the finish. So if you see, right, in the existing also, right, we are able to do, right? It means like suppose if you have to do at the after creation, right? If you wanted to do this one, right? So we can go and do this also. So this was our already, right? Now we have created one more on top of that one, right? Only the thing which will go and do, right, is like the business identifier will go away. So that anyway we know, right? Whenever we change anything in the trigger, right? What will happen, right? The business identifier is going to be impacted, right? What we do, right? We can go and add the business identifier again for both. So for this one, we can say email and save. And for this one, right, we can go and add the template parameter and save, right? So this is how we are able to do, and we can go and make the changes, right? So it means like in the new also, right, we can go and make the multiple operations, and in the existing also, right, we can go and make the multiple operations. Now what will happen, right? So we are able to check, we can create from scratch, and the existing also, right, we can go and modify. Now one more thing, if you go to the run, right, how our endpoint metadata will look like, right? Because previously it was one operation, so one only we are getting, right? But now suppose if this we have to share with the client, right? How the endpoint will come, right? So we can say go to the endpoint metadata. So this time if you see, right, the URL is not coming here, right? In the beginning. So what is happen, right? If you scroll down, right? So the endpoints are going to be changed for each, right? So those came under here. So you will not able to see here the endpoint URL. So if you come down, right? Operation name default, then this is coming, right? So this is for this operation, right? Then second operation login method post, and this is for the second one. Then this is the third one, register, right? And this is the fourth. So if you see, right, each operation will go and define here. So up to here, right, this is the first operations complete. So with this line, right, you can go and see that, okay, up to here, right? So next will come that new operation name, and then only it will go and start, right? So if you see operation name default started, and all the information of this one method, post, response, right, each and everything, then second, right? So now what we need to do, right, we need to define this complete whole thing, right? Because the endpoint and everything is going to be different for each operation, right? So this is how we can go and do the multiple operations in the OIC. Any questions into this one till now, if we have? Okay. So if no questions, right, then what we do, right?
No, actually, sir, what is that debug? I did not get that.
Okay, debug, you are talking about the tracing level. You are talking about this one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So this is for the logging purpose, right? So when we do this tracing, right? So I will cover this in the next session in detail. But for time now, right? Like now you have asked the question. So I will just say the high level. So we have three types of tracing level, right? So if you see the name itself, right? Tracing, right? So what is the tracing, right? So when it is happen, right, and you wanted to debug your code, right, and you wanted to see the log and all, right? So what will happen in that case, right? Production is the one, right? In that one, no codes will be like no log will be generated. Audit is the one. In this one, like only some limited like only for the request and response, right, log will come. And debug is the one where for each and every line, right, the log will come, right? So this is the three difference what we have. So if you see, right, it is showing not recommended, right? So for the development perspective, right, this is there, but in the actual, right, when you do the production and all, right, so that time we'll never go to this option. We can go and put either audit or production, but normally we used to go with the production only always, right? Because what will happen, right, along with the log, right, the costing is going to be impacted, right, and the performance will also be going to be impacted, right? Because what will happen, right, for each line, right, suppose you have integration, right, and in that one, right, 10 steps you have, right? So what will happen, right, all those 10 steps, right, will execute. So suppose each step is taking 1 second to execute, right? So how much time your code will take? 10 seconds it will take, right? But if you do this logging also, right, debug, right, what will happen? It will go and take 20 seconds. So 1 second it will take for the execution, then 1 second it will go and take for the printing also, right, to generate the log file. So what will happen, right? Same integration will take 20 minutes in the this mode. If you do the audit, right, so suppose in this one, right, 2 log or 3 log it is printing, right? So it will take, for example, 13 seconds or 14 seconds. And in this one, right, it will take 10 seconds only. So when we don't need that, right, debugging and all, right, so that time always we will go and put into the production. But when we do the development, right, so that time, right, we wanted to see, right, what log messages and all are coming, right? So for example, if I will go and show this one only, right? So let me change for this one, right? We already have the previously, right? So I will do the configure activation, sorry. Track instances. So if you see, right, in this one, right, if I will go and see, right, if you see for each and every line, right, the log was generated. If you see for each and every line, right, the log messages are printed. If I will go and show this one, right, so in this one, if you see it, whatever we are doing, right, for each and every activity, right, the log was generated, right? But now what we'll do, right, I will go and change this one, that okay, this time, right, maybe we'll use the production and I will try to execute the same thing, right? And then we'll see the difference between both. Configure activation. So I will go to the production, for example, right? We can do save. We came back here. Now let us go and run this one. So this only we do. You can say body. We need to have the request payload. And run. Oh, we got that output, right? Now let's let it complete. Okay. Now come back to the track instances. So if you see it, this one and this one, right? It is a completely same, right? So if I will click into this one, right? So this is the old one, right? So in the old one, if you see it, you are able to see the log. And if you see it here, it will go and mention what is the tracing level debug, right? But in the last one, right, which we just ran, right? If you come into this one, right, it will show tracing level production. And if you see it here, there is no log lines. Right? For any of the thing, right, you will not able to see the log line. Only the limited ones, right, you will go and see. So here also, if you see, right, only the information part, right, you can go and see. But rest all right, that okay, what is the input, what is the output, right? Anything, right, we are not able to see, right? So this is what the production it is, right? Now what will happen, right? this is going to be the faster compared to this one. When we have like one or two flow, right? So that time, right, we're not able to notice that time, that okay, what is the change in the time. But when we do that actual implementation, right? So if you say it here, if we try to see, so 745, 745. So it is started from 24 and it got completed into 25, right? And it started from 532 and 209. So maybe around like it has taken around 700 kind of thing, milliseconds kind of thing. So 480, 470 from this one, 200, right? So around 700 it has taken. Or if you see right here only, right? I think here only they mentioned the duration, right? If you see, this was taken 544 milliseconds, and here it taken 614 milliseconds, right? So that is the difference you can go and see, right? Same code, same logic, right? But it is taking more time into this one, right? Because in this one, right, it was printing some log. Now suppose if we go, so that's what like in this one, right, you will not able to see them much of the difference. And suppose you have like 10 steps, 15 steps, right? Some logical calculations and all, right? So that time, right, you will able to see the this difference a lot. Now suppose if I will go and put this into the third one, right, which is the audit one. So we can say this one, configure activation, and we'll go and put into the audit. And one more thing, right? Here you can go and see that one, right? What it will do, right? So all activities outside loop and invoke logger activity, right? Inside loops are shown in the activity stream, and this data is retained for a period of null days, right? So these are information it will not store. If you see audit, right? So audit information will go and store for 8 days, right? So wire payloads of a trigger and invoke are shown in the activity. But if you go right, so all payloads and all activities inside loop are shown in the activity, right? It means everything is going to be shown for, and this is retained for a period of 24 hours because it will generate huge data, right? So because of that one, right, it is available for 24 hours. So now we can do the save. Now we can go and run this integration again. So same payload we have, we can go and click into run. So this time if you see it, it will show tracing level audit. But if you see it, in the starting point we have the out this one, and at the end we have, right? In between we don't have, right? So it means at some of the points, right, wherever we are doing that invoke and all, right? So at those levels, right, we will able to see. But otherwise, right, it will not generate like for each and every activity, right? That is the difference between all three, right? So the tracing levels are there only for the testing. You can say testing of the different three types of testing, right? We need no logs, we can go to the production. We need limited log lines, so we can go to the audit. And when we need all the log lines, right, for each and every statement, right, so then we can go to the debug. But debug will generate, it will take more time, and it will generate the big log files and all, right? So the big, due to that reason, right, in that tracing, right, when we do, right, they are mentioning that okay, not recommended, right? So for the and final thing, right, it is not recommended, but for the development, right, it is kind of that we will use the debug only when we do the development, right? So that is the difference between the tracing level, and that is what we have the tracing level. So we have the three types of tracing levels. So I hope you got some clarity now.
Yes, so thank you.
Any other questions if we have?
Yeah, Prashant. So when we are migrating, are we going to change the tracing level and migrate, or we change it in the production?
Yeah, once we migrate, right, after that one we need to change. So it is completely up to you. You wanted to migrate first, like you wanted to changes first and then migrate. So you can do that also. Or otherwise, like once after migration, right, you wanted to change, you can go and do that also.
Okay.
But just remember one thing as a best practice in the production, right? it should be always in the production only. Why? Because sometimes, right, when you do the, like suppose this kind of information only, right? So what is happen, right? The password is exposed here, right? So suppose if I am coming here, right, I can go and see. If you will also come, right, you can also see, right? So it means like the confidential data, right, can be exposed. So in the development and all, right, we know it is going to be the testing data. So that is okay. But in the production, right, it is going to be the actual information and all, right? So that time we should not use the product like debug and all unless until it is very necessary. There, always use the production only because otherwise it will go and expose the data.
Okay.
Any other questions if we have? Okay, so if no questions, then I think we are good for today. We can wrap up the session today here only. We'll connect tomorrow and we'll see the new topic. And I am hoping you guys are doing the hands-on also along with me because all this will be considered as an assignment. So if not started, please start. Otherwise, at the end, right, it is going to be heavy for all of you. If you do like day wise, right, so it will be easy and you will get that concept also. Okay, team. So if no question, then I think we can go and drop it. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.